Hello. It's early February and this is my happy place. I love spending time in here, especially during the day when it's nice and warm, and I have some plants growing. I grow year round, and right now I have to provide supplemental heat for this Esculapavia, the Buckeye. I've always got something going on, although this is not the ideal time to be growing warm season plants in a cold greenhouse. But I started some peppers. We're going to talk about that. But one of the main things that I do at this time of year is I get my seeds started. And if I'm doing soil blocking, which I'm doing that this year with everything that I'm growing, that's going to take up a lot of time. I love soil blocking, and I wanted to show you that today because that's the focus as I take you through a few months in the life of me for Garden Farm Grown, where I'm growing out, as many of you know, 3,000 to 4,000 seedling each year with my daughter Amy, peppers and tomatoes and some native perennials this year and herbs. So we're expanding every year, but we don't really bring you behind the scenes to show you that process. But I thought this year it would be fun to take you every week from this point where this is going to look completely different in several weeks. You're not even going to recognize it, but I wanted you to see it raw in its kind of messy state and what I'm doing this time of year so that you can follow the transformation. It's kind of fun and it's a big change. Even though this is the start of February, I've been busy planning well before this, months before this, so that I have all my seeds ready to go. And a lot of that happens on a spreadsheet. So I'm nerding out in the evenings after dinner, sitting at my computer, scrolling through my spreadsheet, looking at the inventory sales from the previous year to find out the hot sellers and the deadbeats so that when I'm ordering new seeds, I am assured that I have enough of existing stock, or if I need more, I order that. But the spreadsheet provides so much of that information that I rely on that, and then I order my seeds based on that. So that's kind of the history going into this time of year. But here we are, and the activity for right now is more soil blocking. Now, I've already been doing a good bit of that. I started some peppers at the end of December, so that was over a month ago. But hot peppers especially, which are a big hit with our customers, they need a lot of extra time, probably 6 weeks before I'm going to start my tomatoes. But today is more soil blocking day, and so that's where I'm at. Now, with soil blocking, the traditional way that you have often done it, or people do it, is with a smaller form like this, where you're making 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8 to 12. But there's different combinations of these depending on the size of the block and the quantity that you want. And this works really well, but it takes longer because obviously in this case, you're only making 12 at a time. Whereas in this one right here, this is a 72 cell soil blocker. It's called a Swift blocker. That's the name of the company. But if you really want to rip through some soil blocks quickly, this is what you want. And even this comes in different quantities, like they have a 128, 72, they might have a 50, I think they have a 96. I love the 72 blocks because that's big enough, but not too big, and it's certainly not too small. And it fits my needs because 18, which is the typical cell tray container size that I use for my finished product, goes into 72 in an even number. So depending on the number of trays I want to make of that particular variety, I can make 1, 2, 3, or 4 using the 72 cell block. So let me show you what I've got right here. I have what I use is ProMix BX. Now that's my seed starting mix of choice. And I've been using that for a number of years. I buy it by the bale, 60 pounds. And I get it at Ace Hardware. You know, I order online and it's a good price. Okay, so I have moved some of the ProMix BX into this big tub. And now what you need to do is you need to add water. So I've got a bucket of water here, and I'm going to add, I don't know, because I don't have a set ratio. It's all at this point kind of by look and feel. So it's better to start off with less because you can always add more. Now, if you have extra soil mix, if you get it too wet from the start, then you just add more soil mix, which is why I have this right here if I need to add it. But this is the quantity I want of the ProMix, and now it's just a matter of adding the water. And if you've worked with peat moss before, you know it's highly absorbent, and so it's going to suck up all of that water and a lot more. But again, I like kind of working it in, not all at once, but a little bit at a time. So you can see that really it doesn't even look like it's moist at all, and that was a good bit of water, but there's a lot more. In fact, it's going to use up most of this bucket, maybe all of it, probably all of it. There's a little bit left in here. What I'm going for here, as you'll see in a few minutes, is a mix that is kind of on the soupy side, where I will probably still see a little bit of loose water at the bottom of the tub, where most of it will be absorbed. I've found that it's better to err on being a little too wet, at least with soil mix. That's not true with watering your plants, but it is true here because water is kind of the glue that holds the mix together in the soil block form. So you want it to be plenty moist. And if it's not moist enough, the block tends to break apart in the form, and when you go to eject it, it falls apart, it doesn't push through, and you have to start over. It's very frustrating. Now, on the flip side of that, if your soil mix or the soil blocking mix is too wet, the water is also like the lubricant. It's kind of like the oil, and so it allows the blocks to really slide through the form. But if it's too wet, it's a little too lubricated. So practice makes perfect, but it can take a little while. So be ready for a learning curve. If you're into soil blocks and it's new to you, part of the fun of the making of the soil blocks is the seeing it come together. And when it doesn't at first, it's okay. But you feel that sense of pride when you finally, after a few screw ups, it comes together and you have a perfect 72 cell setup. It's you just feel empowered. The first thing I'm going to do when I think it's close to where it needs to be, I'll grab a bunch and I'll squeeze it. And what I'm looking for is absolutely for water to run down. See, like that? And I'm squeezing it, pretty tightly, but not that tightly. And actually, I like the look of that. So the next step is to go ahead and, do you remember as a kid making mud pies and how much fun that was? Well, as an adult, this is the equivalent of that, and you're being productive at the same time. It may be one of the biggest reasons why I love working with soil blocks. There are a lot of reasons, such as the convenience of bumping them up when it's time to transplant them. You just take that block and you put it into a new pot. We'll do that, and I'll be documenting that on video for you to see the whole process. But there's a lot of things I love about the blocks. But on the front end, there's a little more time involved, as you can tell from just getting the mix ready. So it's a two-step process, getting the mix just right, and you want to take your time on that, and then filling the blocks and dropping them into the tray. So we're at the point of giving it a go. So I'm going to just take big handfuls of this, throw it in there, push it down, and I'm going to explain the setup here in just a second. I've got a piece of plexiglass here that gives me a nice, even, smooth surface to work on, and I'm going to show you why I like that in a minute. But for now, let's go ahead and just keep filling this. The area that you need to focus on if you're making soil blocks are the edges and the corners. For whatever reason, when you're ejecting your blocks, those tend to be the ones that fail more than any of the others. So I am making sure that I'm packing this in all along the edge and pushing it down with my fingers and filling all those voids. See how the water's running out? That's good. And that's why erring on the side of being too wet is okay, because when you push the mold down through, or the form as you're about to see in a minute, you're going to push out a lot of that water. So if there is any excess water, or a lot of it's going to be pushed out anyway, but if it's too dry, you're going to push out water that's needed in here. So all the more reason why you want to go on the wet side. And if you find out that it's just too wet, if you have extra media, you can just add that to the mix to absorb some of that extra water. And it's okay to be sloppy here, because I'm going to scrape off the excess and throw it back in the tub, but I want to mainly make sure I'm happy with compacting the sides and the ends, especially in the corners. Okay, now I'm going to scrape off the top. This is also an option with a Swift blocker maker is this plate, which is really nice. It's made for this, to run the scraper right along the top to get that excess off. And then you can just take that and fling it back into the big tub, and then just work the other way. And you don't have to make it perfectly smooth. In fact, I like to leave a little bit left over so I can run it across these cubes and it'll fill in those low points. So that's the point where I'm going to go ahead and give it a go. So now back to this plexiglass. It's a very smooth surface, and what I can do at this point is just slide off. Now, actually, let me go ahead and get some of this goop off so I don't make a huge mess here. But I'm going to slide this off, and there's a nice smooth surface here, so it should be an easy way to extract this, and the whole blocking system will stay in place. So there it is. It's holding in place. It's evenly smooth across the bottom. So far, so good, right? Go ahead and move that. And while we're at it, let me go ahead and show you this. These are low profile trays that work great for soil blocking. So this one obviously has holes in it, so I'm going to put the 72 cells right on top of this with the drainage holes, and then there's a solid tray on the bottom. So when I go to irrigate or water, I'll just lift this up, and I'll show you this later, but I'll lift this up a little bit, fill the tray, and it will absorb right up into the blocks. All right, so here's the moment of truth. I'm going to put that right in there. And now the other part of this blocker is this right here. So this is what you press into the soil blocks. Why is this in water? Because you heard me say earlier, water is the lubricant. And so if I have this sitting in water, and this is just a me thing, I don't know how many people do this, but I've learned that this kind of helps. You've got a coating of water on those dimples right there, which will provide more release as I'm pressing down. So I'm going to stand here, and maybe the view, how about this? That works. Now I've lightly placed this on top of the blocks. And now I'm going to provide some hand pressure to this. So I'm going to push down on both sides and on the corners evenly, and in the middle. Now I don't know how critical this is, but I like knowing that I am giving some nice even pressure across the whole top. And then I take my hands, my fingers go under the bottom part, and this part of my hand is going across the top. And what I'm going to do, I start at opposite corners and I give kind of a light press, like that, with my fingers. I go to the opposite corners, do the same thing. Go to the middle, work it a little bit. One more quick side, there, and up. And I'm listening for this click. Now let's see if I get that. I got it. Now, I could lift it straight up, but what I try to do is just give a little bit of rise to one side and then the other, and then lift straight up. And look at that. So that was the right amount of moisture. Those are perfect blocks. 72 cells, voila, very quick. And I will sit here on a Saturday, Sunday, or whenever and just make a lot of trays, because this is really cathartic. It's therapy. And I love doing this, and it's very productive. And as many seedlings as I'm growing, I need a lot of these trays of blocks. So there you have it. Let me go ahead and set this back over here with these others. So that's my process, and it's one of the first things I do this time of year to gear up for major seed starting, but you can make those blocks in advance. Oftentimes I'll make many, and I'm not even sure how many I need, but I'll make extras, and then they will stay inside with lids on top. I won't put a heat mat underneath it, but they'll keep perfectly for weeks, and then when it's time for me to sow the seeds, I lift up the lids, sow the seeds. I may lightly dampen the top, but it works like a charm, and it's as if I had just made them. So that's another efficiency step, but there's a lot more to cover, and this was just part of it on one of the first days in the greenhouse for the new growing season. So I hope that was helpful, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions that I can answer for you or clarification. I'll be happy to do that.